Just earlier this week, I posted something of me in a coffee shop. I was not in that coffee shop. I wasn't, but it looked like I was. And so I was able to create a post of me in a coffee shop delivering the message that I needed for my marketing. I didn't have time to be in a coffee shop. So my AI twin did the work for me. And that's what's good about it is that hey KJ, what's happening today?
Hey, not much. How are you?
I am doing well as always. Anything exciting going on? Anything new?
Yes, I have something that's kind of right up your alley involving AI.
That's my favorite topic these days. Do tell what's happening. What's going on out there in the world of AI? What are you hearing?
So I receive email from the business of fashion. You can see it on Instagram as well. It's BOF. That's kind of their like logo, but it's all about fashion and beauty. And in their technology department, they were talking about H&M. So they have an article and it's about H&M knows its AI models will be controversial. That's the title. So I thought that's something that you would love since AI is definitely your jam, that we can get
Yes.
into that and talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, I'm up to speed and familiar with the H&M story. So they're going to be using models in their ads moving forward, and I know it's really controversial because people are upset about it for various reasons. So yeah, let's talk about it because AI, as we talked about last week on our podcast, is here to stay. So we all need to just like get with the program, get on the train because the train is leaving the track. And so, or better yet, the train is leaving the station. And so, are you going to be left in the station or are you going to get on the train? So yeah, let's break it down. So, what are you reading about H&M, with their AI models? What are you reading?
So I do have 3 little bullet points that I want to talk about. For those who may be watching, forgive me, I am going to look down because I actually want to read it so that you'll know what the article's talking about, and then we can really discuss it. The first bullet point is that H&M is working directly with models and their agencies to create digital replicas of 30 different models this year that it will be able to use the AI generated images for purposes such as social media posts and marketing campaigns. So that's pretty good. 30 models. They're going to be working with their agencies, and basically these models are going to have an AI twin. That's what everyone's calling it. When you have your AI person that, you know, basically is you, it's your twin. So the second part is that models themselves, they'll own the rights to their twins according to the company, and will even be able to let other brands use them, including H&M's competitors. So I thought that was interesting. That's very generous of H&M.
Very. My
Yeah.
goodness, yeah.
And then also, the company acknowledges that it doesn't yet know all the impacts this approach will have on models or all the other workers who make fashion imagery possible. So, such as your photographers, stylists, hair and makeup artists, and more. I would say, too, just as a lover of beauty and fashion, that's something that I would be curious to find out more as well, because we know with photographers, they're always doing editing anyway. You don't have to be super perfect to do the cover of a magazine, let's say something like Vogue, because you know that there's going to be smoothing out and some retouching. That just happens. We all know that. The makeup artists, certain colors may become a little bit more vibrant. So when you think of things like that, I'm just kind of wondering about AI. How is that going to work?
So what are your initial thoughts? Like, so what do you think about this? The fact that we've got a major retailer, a major brand that's saying they're not doing the photo shoots. they're going to take an image of their models and create a complete campaign or multiple campaigns using AI images. Like what comes to mind right away?
I'm not enthusiastic about it, but I'm also, mature enough to know that every generation we have something. So I know when I was growing up, the whole thing was the supermodels. That was like perfection, basically. And then for the next generation, the petite, like waif models came out and they called them heroin chic. And so people began to worry, oh gosh, we don't want our daughters to look like that and be scrawny and skinny. And, it was just that. Then you had, of course, all of the filters that came out where it could smooth you out and change you. And if you wanted like, smaller earlobes or certain things, you could, maneuver all of this. And then people began to worry about that. Oh gosh, our daughters on social media and, they're living up to something that they can't achieve. So to me, this is no different. Like every generation has that something where the parents are concerned that somebody's too perfect. So I kind of have a feeling that that's what this one's going to be for anyone who's upset or concerned. It's going to be more of, I don't want, my child to think that they have to look that perfect. I believe that this new generation, that AI is going to be that for them where I can't achieve that or my child can't achieve that.
Okay, so yeah, so you're looking at it from the perspective of young people who may be influenced in a negative way by the perfection of AI. So,
Yes.
yeah, that's a real thing as we struggle with mental health issues in our country or in the world. It's a real thing, especially with our young people. Growing up in the social media world is hard enough. Now add to it the fact that a lot of the images that are on social media aren't even real. So, where are our young people going to end up mentally with this new introduction?
Right. I feel like that it's again, every generation has something. And I think that this is what it's going to be for this new generation. They're just going to try to figure out how can I because even with the filters, we heard like a few years ago, plastic surgeons were saying that people would come in with themselves filtered and say, well, this is what I want to look like. So I almost feel like an AI twin. I don't want to say it's a better version of you, but it really is like a more smoothed out version of yourself where everything really looks pristine. So I feel like how are you going to feel when you're not looking at yourself like that? It's really the same as a picture, with a filter and great lighting and all of that and you look fantastic. But then, when all of that goes away, how do you feel? So it's almost like that. I did look at the imagery and one of the models that I saw, it sort of looks like her, but not 100%. And she was saying something like the campaign showed my twin or my AI version. She just doesn't have jet lag. Like it was something to that point. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, but it looks a little bit different from you.
Yeah, because it's not going to be an exact replica of the person. And so
Yeah.
hearing the jet lag comment, she's probably referring to the fact that a lot of these models have to do a lot of traveling. And
Yes.
now they don't have to travel. Now they can be in Milan in an instant and go from Milan to New York to Dubai in an instant. So there is no jet lag and there is no travel involved. It is my sincere hope that as these retailers and brands start implementing AI twins, that they incorporate some of the real factors or real parts of the human face and the human body, some of the wrinkles, some of the moles, some of the stuff that makes a person human. But yeah, if they just make them perfect like a baby doll, then everyone's going to know that that's not real. But they should try their best to make it as human-like as possible.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And again, I've seen some different accounts on let's just say Instagram because I'm usually on there. And I have seen some AI accounts before I knew that that's what it was. And I was always looking like, wow, oh, she's beautiful. And look at that. And had no clue until I kept reading. Again, that would be my only thought process is that AI is going to be this new generation's form of, what they deem perfect and what they're
Yeah,
going to strive for.
and that can
When
be
they
a challenge.
actually get it, you know.
Yeah, that can be problematic, and that can be a challenge. And, you know, I use AI twins at least 2 to 3 times a week now with my project that I'm working on Instagram. There is an AI version of me that comes out at least once or twice a week. But I do it mostly a lot for fun. I do it a lot for marketing. It's just really cool to me. I just find the whole AI twin thing just very fascinating. I just do. The fact that you can generate a person on your computer screen who looks remarkably like you. They don't look exactly like you. There's going to be something that's slightly different, or in some cases, really different. But I love the fact that you can generate an AI version of you to do whatever. I'll give you an example. Just earlier this week, I posted something of me in a coffee shop. I was not in that coffee shop. I wasn't, but it looked like I was. And so I was able to create a post of me in a coffee shop delivering the message that I needed for my marketing. I didn't have time to be in a coffee shop. So my AI twin did the work for me. And that's what's good about it is that you can do really great brand messaging, you can do really great marketing without having to go through the time and the expense of actually physically being there. So it's cool, it's fun, and it's very, very convenient to use a twin instead of having yourself be out there.
I do think it's cool, but again, when I think of, like, the article and it talking about your hair and makeup people as well, that's something that's concerning because, yes, maybe now you don't have to take your model and you all actually go to the Caribbean, let's say, to shoot a swimwear photo shoot or something that you're doing going to Milan. My only concern is that, is this going to take away that job market? Because they're already struggling. You have so many artists who, and again, are real artists who are doing your New York Fashion Week, Paris, Milan, always traveling. But now, if you have a magazine spread, is that going to take away someone's job of being a hairstylist or a makeup artist? Because it's like, oh, well, you know what? Let's use the AI twin. We'll go ahead and do that. And then you can do all of that imagery yourself and not have to have that whole team of people. So that would be my only concern is I think it's great. It's all fun and games until maybe you have a dying industry. Which that to me, I think as a diehard fashion beauty person, in this industry pretty much all my life, I would really hate to see, like, I'm already sad to see basically magazines go away and everything is digital. So a lot of magazines and things that I used to look forward to getting in the mail once a month, now I'm having to go through social media or have things come to my email to read. That's not really fun. That's not the way that I love it. But again, I would just hate to see a part of that whole fashion and beauty industry be taken away because, oh, well, we don't need that. We can do this ourselves and do it this way. But then you have more people that, are out of work.
And that's the biggest discussion that's taking place right now. That's as I'm on Reddit and I'm on other platforms, that's what I'm seeing the discussion about people losing their jobs and certain industries completely changing. But this is something that we all know. This is something that we have lived through time and time again. So let's break it down. You and I are old enough to remember that there was a time before there was an ATM where the only time or the only way that you could get money was to go into a bank and speak to an actual live teller. What happened? They came out with the ATM and there was that issue of tellers losing their jobs. Yes, there are tellers that still exist in the bank, but fewer of them. Or people aren't going to I can't tell you the last time I actually went into a bank branch. Like I just don't go in because if I need cash, which we don't even need cash anymore these days, everything is debit, credit, card. So the ATM came through and it changed the industry. My grandmother was someone who at one point was working on the highway as a toll booth operator. She was the one who, as you went through and you had to pay the toll on I-95, you had to hand your money to somebody. I don't think those jobs exist anymore. I think that if you're going through a toll, you've got to either use your debit card or use cash in some sort of machine if you don't have some sort of reader on your car or if they're not picking up your license plate. But right now, if you were a toll booth operator, those jobs just don't exist anymore. People didn't like the change, but it came and there was nothing we could do about it. The thing that's happening now, go into a Walmart and see if you're able to get in a line where there's an actual human being checking you out. Yeah, they've got like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 of those, but for the most part, most of the aisles have been taken over by self-checkout. Those jobs are no longer. It's harder to get a job as a cashier in a lot of these places because the technology has evolved and now you can do self checkout. I'm just going through all of them that I can think of. Recently, I've been to restaurants where a robot was delivering the food instead of a waiter. What does
Wow.
that say to the wait staff and the wait industry? But that's what's happening, that the robots are delivering the food. I am old enough to remember when there was some guy who would pump the gas. You'd pull up to the gas station and the guy would come to your car and say, "Oh, do you want premium or regular?" Those jobs are gone. Nobody's pumping your gas. So I say all of that to say that yes, it is not a good thing that makeup artists, hairstylists, set designers, these people, their jobs are in jeopardy and they may have to make a shift. But that's just where we are with when technology comes through, this is what happens. It just changes the landscape. And so people need to figure out a way to work with it or not. But if you're in the not, then what are you going to do?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that I will wait to see what happens because it just again it's so difficult to even think about wow, what if we don't have makeup artists or hairstylists? I mean, it's just that human contact of someone doing that for you. It's just something I would not want to lose. I would hate to see that. It's almost just like I would never want to go and have a massage and it be a robot. Like that would just be weird.
That
So
would be weird.
I feel like it's the same with like who wants a robot doing your hair? You know, I can't even think about like a robot coming and braiding my hair or, doing a roller set. It just certain things I always feel like there needs to be a person taking care of that.
There will be. I think that we as individuals will always have someone do our makeup, do our hair, do our nails, those types of things on an individual basis. But I think when it comes to Hollywood or the beauty industry or the fashion industry, that's a whole different discussion. Those industries now are kind of saying, we no longer need you at the industry level. If you're a hairstylist, makeup artist, set designer, etc. But I think that for you and me as individuals, No, I'm not gonna sit down in front of a robot to do my toes. I'm not going to do and you gave the best example with the massage. There's no way. There's just no way. I just can't imagine. I just can't.
Nah, not my fetish.
No,
Maybe
that's not
some
gonna work.
people, but not for me.
No, because even if they make the robot just human-like, that's just still like because we think of robots as these machines, these things that are mechanical and are metal, and even if they make them human-like with real hands that feel like hands and they can talk like you and I, like they're real people. That's just still kinda creepy to me, even though I'm really into the AI, that's got a creep factor to me.
Well, it's kind of funny because you remember the I, Robot movie with Will Smith? It was based off of, the Isaac Asimov book.
Yeah,
That it's coming. I mean, that's what they're already making. The robot's name was Sunny.
right.
Sunny's coming, if not already here. I believe in some other countries, they already have that, like, their technology is advanced, but yes, it's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. You'll have a robot as your babysitter. You'll have a
Yes.
robot as your driver. We already have self-driving cars, so hey, why not have a robot who is in the vehicle as the driver who is trained to actually drive and to assist with the technology of the self-driving vehicle? That's coming. I'm not ready for that as of yet. We'll see. Wow, that's a bit much. But I just think that we all need to just realize that AI is here. It's here to stay. So what are you going to do? Are you going to go with it or are you going to go against it? I'm one of those people who think, okay, this is the time to capitalize on a new technology. So the time is now, not to be one of those people who just when the internet evolved, you're like, "Oh, I wish I had been one of those people who had gotten involved in the dot-com boom when, it was happening." So, I just really want people just to learn about AI as much as they can and make a decision on, "How can I use this to my advantage? How can I use it to capitalize on it so that down the road, I'm set because I got in on an industry technology, a new way of life in the beginning. So I know that the H&M situation is just causing a little bit of heartburn, but buckle up because Levi's and many of the others are jumping on board, and that's where we're going. So this is where we are. And so, again, what are people gonna do about it? So, from my perspective, and one of the things that I'm doing is I'm still learning about AI just as others are learning about AI. I'm learning how the landscape in all of the different industries are changing. It's changing in the medical field. It's changing as we are just talking about in the beauty and fashion. How long have we known that robots and AI has just totally infiltrated the auto industry? So what I'm doing is it's now taking over marketing, as we can see with the H&M. And so what I'm doing with my Instagram is as I'm learning about AI, I'm also teaching about AI and AI marketing. And so that's what I'm doing on my Instagram. And I'm also inviting others who want to learn more to join me so that we can learn together. Because, like I said, you can either get on the train or stay in the station, but the train is leaving the station. So I offer courses that teaches this industry, teaches AI marketing. So there are those who want to learn and are learning about this because this is where we are. And if you can learn about AI marketing or if you can learn about marketing using AI, Then when these jobs open up and there are people who want to hire somebody who knows how this works, then you'll be that person. Because we just talked about how in let's just take the beauty industry. In the beauty industry or in the fashion industry, jobs will be lost. But guess what? Jobs will also be gained by those who know and understand AI. So they're creating these twins. Who's creating those twins? The people who embraced and learned the technology. And so those are the people who are being hired. You may not want to be the person who is pushing the button or the person who's on the computer generating it, but maybe you could be the producer who's coming up with the concept or coming up with the idea. You're somebody, KJ, who's been in the beauty industry. You know what makeup should look like. You know what fashion should look like. There are people who are going to be hired now who can tell those who are actually generating these models what it should look like, what's realistic, what they should use, or even just coming up with the concept of a shoot. To say we're going to put model XYZ in Dubai, you still need a concept. You need a human to come up with those concepts. Yes, AI can come up with those concepts as well, but there's a human factor in it as well. So I just invite people to just learn as much as you can about AI because your job may be replaced. It just may be. You're in the retail industry. Do we really need people in retail when people can just go and shop and just check out themselves? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I think we still do need people. Uh, when you think of wanting to go in and, like, for me, I do a lot of bra fitting, and that's not something I feel like you're a robot. People are not going to be comfortable with that. Kind of like we talked about massaging. A woman's not going to feel comfortable with a robot putting the tape measure around her and doing measurements. So that's something where you're still going to need humans. And I do feel like a lot of people come shopping and they want to have someone's opinion. They want someone to talk to. Yes, they could talk to a robot and some people may like that. But then you'll have other people that are looking for someone's genuine opinion and they're going to want that from a human being. So that's where it gets a little tricky. The self-checkout's nice, but there still needs to be human beings there for people to talk to and interact with and to help. And again, when you think of something as intimate as bra fitting, you wouldn't
Yeah,
want a robot to do that.
you can't have just no humans. Like that just can't be. But in the past where you might have had, let's say, 10 humans working in a store, now you may only need 3 because you don't like I'd be curious to see what Christmas is looking like coming up. Like, do we need all of the lanes open, human man? Or do you think self-checkout is working? Like when you go to wherever, Walmart or wherever you shop, how do you feel about self-checkout? Is that working or do you want the human back?
So you're gonna laugh, but when I usually don't go shopping because I'm in retail, but when I've gone out with my husband and he would go for the self-checkout, I would say, "No, we're going to the cashier." And he was like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "That's this person's job. That's why they're here. So I'm going through their line." And that has a lot to do with me respecting people in retail. You know, I think that sometimes folks come into a store after a really bad day at work, and unfortunately, you're on the receiving end of that. But I also think that for those of us who get what they do and how hard it is and what you're putting up with, I can go through their line and make sure that they're keeping their job. So, no, I won't go through a self-checkout even if I have one item. I'm the person that's going and standing in a line, so that the cashier can say, "Hi, how are you today?" And then say, "Great, how are you? I love your hair. How cute," and trying to like do that little interaction with them because you'd be surprised. Like when I go to HEB and grocery shop and the cashier has like a cute little hairdo, I let her know, because then you see this smile, like this person just lights up and it's like, wow, she noticed me. She gave me a compliment. And it just, again, that's me being in the industry and just knowing that it's not always fun. And that's their job and that's why they're there. So, I mean, believe me, you have some bad cashiers. They're not all great. But I would say the majority of the people when I'm going through the line and they speak to me and I speak back and we have that little bit of conversation, that means a lot to people. So, I'm definitely not that self-checkout person. I go sometimes and I'm sitting there looking at it and I'm like, "Yeah, no." And then I just go on to the person because it's too much. I'm not dumb. I can figure it out. I've done it. I just don't like it.
I get that. I totally get that. That you want the human interaction,
Yeah.
not just having, like you said, even one item that you can just swipe the barcode, put in your debit card, check out, and you're in and out of there in however many minutes. You
Yeah.
want to interact with humans. So I'm assuming you probably feel the same way if you were to call a customer service department for whichever company, that you would rather deal with a human than an.
So I do like speaking to someone because, it's not that I call that often, but I have had some things that have happened with receiving orders where I actually want to talk to someone and say, this is what's going on. This is how my lipstick came. I'm not really happy about it, but what can you do to fix it? I actually do want to talk to someone because I found that when it goes through an automated system, and I'm trying to say certain things, it can only pick up so many words. I mean, that's the way it's trained. So it's searching for keywords. And half the time it's like, "Oh, this is what you can do." And I'm like, "Oh gosh, that's not what I'm saying." So I just keep saying, "Agent, agent, representative." Like I'm that person screaming, "Representative," So yeah, that it doesn't work for me.
Okay, so you described an automated system.
Yes.
Okay, but AI is different because this is artificial intelligence. It's like a whole new level. So it really can have a conversation with you just as, and you're familiar with ChatGPT. Like I think everybody knows ChatGPT. And just as you can type in what you're saying, can you do blah, blah, blah? Can you help me with blah, blah, blah? The artificial intelligence can respond with ChatGPT, it's responding in text, but it can respond in the AI human world or AI customer service world with a human sounding response, instead of a text response. So it's a little different than the automated system, but I get the automated system. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you're just like, "Representative, representative, representative," because I'm with you on that. Even I don't wanna talk to an automated system. But
I
the
have to
artificial
try it.
intelligence might be a little different because look, if you're just calling to get the balance on your account, yeah, I know the automated system can do that too. But AI can actually say, "Good morning. How are you today? So I see the weather in Houston is, hot and humid. How are you managing all that?" And just actually hold a conversation with you.
So
It's
if
really
I
cool.
find out it's AI, I'm gonna be mean and I'm gonna say, "Your feet stink," and just see what
And
kind of I wanna
it'll
see
and
what
it'll
I
s
get.
and it'll say, "I'm so sorry to hear that. No, I completely understand, and that's something that I'm really working on." It's human-like. It really is. I'm telling you, artificial intelligence is amazing. It's amazing. But I understand it's taking away now customer service job. So The thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people working in customer service. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, obviously for the very, very convoluted things, you may need a real human. But I find that a machine can actually work faster than a human. If you call your healthcare provider, if you call your insurance company and it's like, "Hey, I'm calling because I need a dentist in Duncanville, Texas. Can you tell me which providers are in my network?" That AI can get the answer immediately and say, "Yes, Mrs. So and so, I see 5 that are within 5 miles of your zip code. Here they are." Whereas the human would be saying, "Oh, okay, Leah, let me look that up for you. And let me," and so having to go search and do this, whereas the AI like that and can respond like a human saying, "Yes, I found however many. Are you ready to take down the information? Would you rather have the AI or would you rather have the human that's taking 5 minutes to get the answer that the AI got in 5 seconds?"
So
I
I
know your answer because you want the human,
No, I
because you
think
want the
something like
interaction.
that, it's good, but I am going to be real. I don't mind technology and I understand that like we evolve and things have to be upgraded. Things change. My only concern is, and I think it's in the near future because we're already seeing it now. And I mean, I'm just turned 52. How many people are going to be without jobs? Because everyone's not going to be comfortable, let's say, just like with technology and cell phones and different upgrades and iPads and all of these things, like, because I see it in retail. It's not just a cash register, that we're using anymore. Like when I first started out in the industry at 15, now everything's computerized and you're grabbing like your register, your screen is also your iPad and you're going online and doing certain things. So as we continue to upgrade, everyone's not going to be able to do those technical jobs. So what happens to people who have worked, let's say, customer service their whole lives and have those beautiful, wonderful personalities that are bubbly, and that's the person that you actually wanted to come to your table and wait on you, and they're, "Oh, I hope that you love this," and, "Oh, I just had this the other day and you have to try." Just thinking about people like that who that's their whole personality is being that like networker or relationship builder. What happens to people now as more jobs continue to go away? And because you think about the bank, you were talking about the ATM situation. I don't even remember the last time I've been to an ATM because if I actually need some cash, you can get it at the grocery store. Once you check out, if you need a quick $10 or $20, you could just add that on from your sale.
Or your tab, yes. So you've
Yes.
just mentioned another industry. You just mentioned
Yeah.
another evolution.
And
Yes.
I've seen a lot of banks now, like we are with, Bank of America, and there's a lot of them closing down. So you have a lot of branches that were, and now they're gone and boarded up because it's almost like the whole banking industry is gone. But again, that's my only fear. And that's what I see in the near future. I see a lot of people who are going to be struggling and don't have jobs. And, we think about we're the girly ladies and we're talking to women who are about 38 years old and up. And as we're aging, it's like almost it makes me think of we're aging out because I've told you and I've put this in my bio on Instagram. I'm seeing this happen to myself where I only spent almost 3 years out of retail and then got back in it, and now I'm having to start all over again from the bottom, which is so crazy with all my experience. If I didn't tell you I was 52, you wouldn't know because everyone thinks I'm a completely different age, but it's like I'm being aged out. So that's my concern. When we think of customer service, they always try to lump us into, "Oh, well, just go get a customer service job. You can do that. You're good at that."
Right.
almost like that's the only thing we're good for. Well, then you're having all of technology starting to take over, and taking that away. What is there to do? What am I
You
going to do?
have you have to develop a new skill set. Period. Like you have to develop a new skill set. I am 59 years old. I am 9 months away from 60. And I have made a decision that there is an emerging market happening right in front of us. Am I just going to watch it? Am I just going to read about it? Am I going to complain about it? Or am I going to get on board and develop the skills to go along with it and capitalize on it? And that's what I've decided to do. I've decided to learn this new skill set. So, to answer your question, what's going to happen with all these jobs? A lot of them are going to go away. What's going to happen to those people? They need to develop a new skill set. We have to be proactive, period. AI is here. It's not going anywhere. It's going to get even more evolved. So, what's your plan? What are you going to do? So, if you are working in customer service and your job is being teched out, technologied out, if that is even a word, what's your plan? Because you got to work, you got to eat, you got to pay your bills. So the technology is here. And I agree, not everybody is technologically minded or skilled. So do your research, do your due diligence. What markets are using AI or will be using AI, and how? Get the answer to that question, because it's not going to be all about generating images. It's not going to be all the typing and creating. There's going to be a human element to it as well. AI can't function without humans. It can't. You still need humans for AI to work. For me to create the images of myself on my Instagram took a human to do that. Those images didn't create themselves. I had to create them of my AI twin. So I had to develop the skill set to do that. And I agree, not everybody is computer literate. I hear that all the time. Oh, I'm not technologically savvy. Oh, I'm not. Okay. So let's find out, where else is AI going to be used, and how is it going to be used? And what can you do as a human to get involved from a non-tech standpoint? That information is out there. You need to go get it, because otherwise you're going to be sitting on the sidelines and you're going to be really sad and you're going to be really mad. And I'm not saying you, I'm saying that people need to get on board. The train is in the station. So those who were tellers, who are no longer tellers, those who were toll booth operators, who are no longer toll booth operators, those who were pumping gas at the gas station, like I mentioned before, those who were cashiers, who are no longer cashiers because the jobs are not available, had to figure something else out. They had to. This is a big clue. AI is the new emerging industry. Get in the beginning. Figure it out. You need to do it. You need to do something. It's here. What are you going to do with it? It's here. We hope you found our conversation as insightful and thought-provoking as we did. If you enjoyed the show, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're listening to us on one of the podcast platforms, there is the link in the description to text the show. We always love hearing from you.
Please make sure that you follow us on social media and our website, girlieladies.com. On the website, you'll be able to see our contributors page, so make sure that you read about our guest speakers that we have, as well as ourselves. So on Instagram, we are Girlie Ladies at Girlie Ladies. And I have my own Instagram at the KJB Effect.
And you can reach me on my new Instagram at digital with Sonji. That's my Instagram. And for Facebook, TikTok, and all of the other social media platforms, you can follow me at Sonji Cosby. I would love to hear from you. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and most of all, keep growing. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye bye. Take care.